we are going to list some of the most important AWS interview questions and answers which will set you apart in the interview process. If you are interested in a career in the cloud industry, your chance has arrived. With cloud computing platforms like AWS taking the present business scenarios by storm, getting trained and certified in that particular platform can provide you with excellent career prospects. Bear in mind that AWS training and certification will only provide you with knowledge unique to that platform, although there may be ideas and principles that could carry over into other cloud providers. In this video, I list top 20 AWS interview questions with answers with proper examples. To start AWS interview questions and answers session, I request you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and press bell icon to get real-time updates of interview questions and answers, which is helping to prepare the interview.
Define and explain the three basic types of cloud services and the AWS products that are built based on them.
Here are some of the AWS products that are built based on the three cloud service types. First is computing. These include EC2, Elastic Beanstalk, Lambda, Autoscaling, and Lightsat. Second is storage. These include S3, Glacier, Elastic Block Storage, Elastic File System. And third is networking. These include VPC, Amazon CloudFront, Route 53.
What is the relation between the availability zone and region?
AWS regions are separate geographical areas, like the US West 1, North California, and Asia South, Mumbai. On the other hand, availability zones are the areas that are present inside the regions. These are generally isolated zones that can replicate themselves whenever required.
What is autoscaling?
Autoscaling is a function that allows you to provision and launch new instances whenever there is a demand. It allows you to automatically increase or decrease resource capacity in relation to the demand.
What is geotargeting in CloudFront?
Geotargeting is a concept where businesses can show personalized content to their audience based on their geographic location without changing the URL. This helps you create customized content for the audience of a specific geographical area, keeping their needs in the forefront.
What are the steps involved in a CloudFormation solution?
Here are the steps involved in a CloudFormation solution. Step 1 is create or use an existing CloudFormation template using JSON or YAML format. Step 2 is save the code in an S3 bucket, which serves as a repository for the code. Step 3 is use AWS CloudFormation to call the bucket and create a stack on your template. And step 4 is CloudFormation reads the file and understands the services that are called, their order, the relationship between the services, and provisions the services one after the other.
How do you upgrade or downgrade a system with near zero downtime?
You can upgrade or downgrade a system with near zero downtime using the following steps of migration. Step 1, open Ec2 console. Step 2, choose operating system AMI. Step 3, launch an instance with the new instance type. Step 4, install all the updates. Step 5, install applications. Step 6, test the instance to see if it's working. Step 7, if working, deploy the new instance and replace the older instance. Step 8, once it's deployed, you can upgrade or downgrade the system with near zero downtime.
What are the tools and techniques that you can use in AWS to identify if you are paying more than you should be, and how to correct it?
You can know that you are paying the correct amount for the resources that you are using by employing the following resources. First is, check the top services table. It is a dashboard in the cost management console that shows you the top 5 most used services. This will let you know how much money you are spending on the resources in question. Second is, Cost Explorer. There are Cost Explorer services available which will help you to view and analyze your usage costs for the last 13 months. You can also get a cost forecast for the upcoming 3 months. Third is, AWS Budgets. This allows you to plan a budget for the services. Also, it will enable you to check if the current plan meets your budget and the details of how you use the services. Fourth is, Cost Allocation Tags. This helps in identifying the resource that has cost more in a particular month. It lets you organize your resources and cost allocation tags to keep track of your AWS costs.
Is there any other alternative tool to log into the cloud environment other than console?
That can help you log into the AWS resources are: first is PuTTY, second is AWS CLI for Linux, third is AWS CLI for Windows, fourth is AWS CLI for Windows CMD, fifth is AWS SDK, and sixth is Eclipse.
What services can be used to create a centralized logging solution?
The essential services that you can use are Amazon Cloudwatch logs, store them in Amazon S3, and then use Amazon Elasticsearch to visualize them. You can use Amazon Kinesis Firehose to move the data from Amazon S3 to Amazon Elasticsearch.
What are the native AWS security logging capabilities?
Most of the AWS services have their logging options. Also, some of them have an account-level logging, like in AWS CloudTrail, AWS Config, and others. Let's take a look at two services in specific. First is AWS CloudTrail. This is a service that provides a history of the AWS API calls for every account. It lets you perform security analysis, resource change tracking, and compliance auditing of your AWS environment as well. The best part about this service is that it enables you to configure it to send notifications via AWS SNS when new logs are delivered. Second is AWS Config. This helps you understand the configuration changes that happen in your environment. This service provides an AWS inventory that includes configuration history, configuration change notification, and relationships between AWS resources. It can also be configured to send information via AWS SNS when new logs are delivered.
What is a DDoS attack, and what services can minimize them?
DDoS is a cyber attack in which the perpetrator accesses a website and creates multiple sessions so that the other legitimate users cannot access the service. The native tools that can help you deny the DDoS attacks on your AWS services are: first is AWS Shield. Second is AWS WAF. Third is Amazon Route 53. Fourth is Amazon Cloudfront. Fifth is ELB. Sixth is VPC.
You are trying to provide a service in a particular region, but you do not see the service in that region. Why is this happening, and how do you fix it?
Not all Amazon AWS services are available in all regions. When Amazon initially launches a new service, it doesn't get immediately published in all the regions. They start small and then slowly expand to other regions. So, if you don't see a specific service in your region, chances are the service hasn't been published in your region yet. However, if you want to get the service that is not available, you can switch to the nearest region that provides the services.
How do you set up a system to monitor website metrics in real time in AWS?
Amazon Cloudwatch helps you to monitor the application status of various AWS services and custom events. It helps you to monitor: first is state changes in Amazon EC2, second is auto-scaling lifecycle events, third is scheduled events, fourth is AWS API calls, fifth is console sign-in events.
What are the different types of virtualization in AWS, and what are the differences between them?
The three major types of virtualization in AWS are: first is hardware virtual machine, HVM. It is a fully virtualized hardware, where all the virtual machines act separate from each other. These virtual machines boot by executing a master boot record in the root block device of your image. Second is pair virtualization, PV. Pair virtualization grub is the bootloader that boots the PVAMIs. The PV grub chain loads the kernel specified in the menu. Third is pair virtualization on HVM. PV on HVM helps operating systems take advantage of storage and network I/O available through the host.
Name some of the AWS services that are not region-specific.
AWS services that are not region-specific are: first is IAM, second is Route 53, third is Web Application Firewall, fourth is CloudFront,
What is the difference between stopping and terminating an Ec2 instance?
While you may think that both stopping and terminating are the same, there is a difference. When you stop an Ec2 instance, it performs a normal shutdown on the instance and moves to a stopped state. However, when you terminate the instance, it is transferred to a stopped state, and the EBS volumes attached to it are deleted and can never be recovered.
What are the different types of Ec2 instances based on their costs?
The three types of Ec2 instances are: first is on-demand instance. It is cheap for a short time but not when taken for the long term. Second is spot instance. It is less expensive than the on-demand instance and can be bought through bidding. Third is reserved instance. If you are planning to use an instance for a year or more, then this is the right one for you.
How do you set up SSH agent forwarding so that you do not have to copy the key every time you log in?
Here's how you accomplish this. Step 1. Go to your PTTY configuration. Step 2. Go to the category SSH, greater than auth. Step 3. Enable SSH agent forwarding to your instance.
What are Solaris and X operating systems? Are they available with AWS?
Solaris is an operating system that uses Spark processor architecture, which is not supported by the public cloud currently. X is an operating system that runs only on Power CPU and not on Intel, which means that you cannot create X instances in EC2. Since both the operating systems have their limitations, they are not currently available with AWS.
How do you configure Cloudwatch to recover an Ec2 instance?
Here's how you can configure them. Step 1. Create an alarm using Amazon Cloudwatch. Step 2. In the alarm, go to Define Alarm, greater than Actions tab. Step 3. Choose Recover this instance option.
What are the common types of AMI designs?
There are many types of AMIs, but some of the common AMIs are fully baked AMI, just enough baked AMI, JOS AMI, hybrid AMI.
How can you recover/log into an Ec2 instance for which you have lost the key?
Follow the steps provided below to recover an Ec2 instance if you have lost the key. Step 1. Verify that the EC2 config service is running. Step 2. Detach the root volume for the instance. Step 3. Attach the volume to a temporary instance. Step 4. Modify the configuration file. And Step 5. Restart the original instance.
How do you allow a user to gain access to a specific bucket?
You need to follow the 4 steps provided below to allow access. They are: Step 1. Categorize your instances. Step 2. Define how authorized users can manage specific servers. Step 3. Lock down your tags. Step 4. Attach your policies to IAM users.
How do you connect multiple sites to a VPC?
If you have multiple VPN connections, you can provide secure communication between sites using the AWS VPN Cloud Hub. Here's a diagram that will show you how to connect various sites to a VPC.
Name and explain some security products and features available in VPC.
Here is a selection of security products and features. First is security groups. This acts as a firewall for the EC2 instances, controlling inbound and outbound traffic at the instance level. Second is network access control lists. It acts as a firewall for the subnets, controlling inbound and outbound traffic at the subnet level. Third is flow logs. These capture the inbound and outbound traffic from the network interfaces in your VPC.
How do you monitor Amazon VPC?
You can monitor VPC by using Cloudwatch and Cloudwatch logs, VPC flow logs.
What are the factors to consider while migrating to Amazon Web Services?
Here are the factors to consider during AWS migration. First is operational costs. These include the cost of infrastructure, ability to match demand and supply, transparency, and others. Second is workforce productivity. Third is cost avoidance. Fourth is operational resilience. Fifth is business agility.
What is RTO and RPO in AWS?
RTO or recovery time objective is the maximum time your business or organization is willing to wait for a recovery to complete in the wake of an outage. On the other hand, RPO or recovery point objective is the maximum amount of data loss your company is willing to accept as measured in time.
What are the elements of an AWS CloudFormation template?
AWS CloudFormation templates are YAML or JSON formatted text files that are comprised of 5 essential elements. They are template parameters, output values, data tables, resources, file format version.
What is the difference between EBS and instance store?
EBS is a kind of permanent storage in which the data can be restored at a later point. When you save data in the EBS, it stays even after the lifetime of the Ec2 instance. On the other hand, instance store is temporary storage that is physically attached to a host machine. With an instance store, you cannot detach one instance and attach it to another. Unlike an EBS, data in an instance store is lost if any instance is stopped or terminated.
Tell me about yourself.
Here you are definitely not going to tell the interviewer about your favorite dish, movie or actor. The interviewer asks this question to analyze how confident you are and how you present yourself. The best way to answer this common interview question is to tell the hiring manager about your education and family background. However, this should not look like your life story, and you should quickly concentrate on sharing a bit about your strengths that build the platform for further discussion about your suitability for the job opening. Keep in mind. First point, don't narrate what is already mentioned in your CV. Second point, focus more on talking about your achievements and learning. And third, keep it short.
Why did you decide to apply to this role?
This question aims to evaluate the candidate's interest in the role. Are they really motivated to get hired for this specific job, or do they just mass apply to every job ad under the sun? Candidates should show that this application was a conscious decision on their part. Now I am going to share sample answer. I have been following your company's successes for some time now, and I know you have a great software development team. I was thinking that this would be the best environment for me to apply the skills I acquired during my internship and master's degree. So, I checked your careers page regularly, and when I saw this job ad, I thought it was finally time to try my hand. I have experience in web development and I'm really interested in the projects you're mentioning in the job ad. In fact, one of them was the subject of my thesis. I really think I'm a good fit for the job and can grow even more in your workplace.
Why are you interested in this position?
This question is a critical indicator as to whether you're interested in this company and role in particular, or whether you're simply applying to any role in the field. For instance, it's not a good sign if you say, well, I'm interested in social media, so this role seemed like a good fit. Instead, you want to mention specific qualifications of the role itself, and demonstrate how those qualifications align with your personal strengths. Additionally, it's important you mention how you can help drive results for the team.
Why are you leaving your current job?
This is an opportunity to outline positive benefits you hope to gain by transitioning into a new role. However, one of the biggest mistakes you can make when answering this question is focusing on negative aspects of your current employer, rather than discussing positive aspects of the new company. An HR professional will mark it as a red flag if you talk poorly about your current employer or company. It illustrates someone who isn't very professional, has a negative attitude, and could bring toxic energy into their new work environment.
Can you describe a work or school instance in which you messed up?
This is an intentionally tricky question. It's meant to glean insight into whether you can learn from past mistakes. If you can't think of any past errors, it could be an indicator you aren't capable of accepting responsibility for your own mistakes. However, creating a long list of past mishaps could make you look unqualified for the role. You will want to answer this question succinctly, and point out an error that doesn't represent a lack of character. Consider one well-intentioned error you had in the past, mention it, and then talk about how you grew from that experience.
Tell me about a time when you experienced conflict with a coworker and how you dealt with it.
The HR professional isn't interested in hearing about that time your coworker said something snide about you in the kitchen, or when your manager overheard you gossiping about a client to a friend. Instead, this question is asked to gain insight into how you handle professional conflict. At the office, conflict is bound to arise, particularly when you're working closely with many different people. It's critical you know how to handle conflict without pointing fingers. Your answer should primarily focus on the solution, and should show a level of empathy towards your colleagues, rather than focusing on the problem.
What do you know about our company?
This is a fantastic opportunity to impress the interviewer. Ultimately, this question aims to gauge your level of interest in the company. The more you've researched prior accomplishments, company values, and basic information regarding the product or service, the more you can demonstrate a genuine desire to work there.
How would you improve our current product or service?
An HR professional wants to know whether you're innovative, a quick thinker, and if you'll bring new ideas to the role. There isn't necessarily a wrong answer. Here, you just need to show some creativity, and planning in advance will help. Consider potential problems they might be experiencing with their product or service, and how your unique skill set can fill that void.
How would your current manager describe you?
It can be awkward to brag about yourself, so while this question may seem weird, it's really the HR professional's tactic for hearing how your current boss views you in a work environment. To feel less uncomfortable answering this question, thoughtfully consider your last performance review, and use direct quotes from your boss in your answer.
What are your hobbies?
In your fresher interview questions, you can even expect some basic interview questions like what are your hobbies? Now if you think why the employer is interested in knowing about your hobbies, it is an important interview question. The interviewer tries to gauge about your personality, your energy level and how fit you can be for the company's culture. Therefore, share something that adds value to your skills such as traveling and meeting people if you are appearing for a client meeting role. Even sharing some generic hobbies such as some sports or reading reflect well on your activeness. There are 2 points which is very important and consider always in an interview. First is avoid sharing hobbies that can give a bad impression such as gambling. Second is sharing a mix of personal and professional interests shows you a balanced person in life.
What are your weaknesses?
It becomes critical when you have to share your weaknesses, that too, with your hiring manager. However, it is never recommended to say that you do not have any weakness as it makes you look arrogant. Therefore, choose a weakness that doesn't impact your current job role. For example, you are afraid to sleep alone can be your weakness. There are 2 points which is very important and consider always in an interview. First is never brag about the strengths and skills that you cannot justify. Second is always elaborate your strengths and weaknesses with some quick examples.
What are your strengths?
This is one of the most important fresher interview questions as the employer analyzes your strengths for the job role and tries to understand the challenges you might face in the new job role. Therefore, be cautious about stating any of your strengths or weaknesses. The good idea is to share strengths that are related to the job. One such interview answer sample for an electrical engineer job interview would be to talk about your expertise in evaluating electrical products, systems and components if you are confident to answer any question related to it. In the end, also saying that you are a quick learner adds value to your strengths.
Why we should hire you?
With this strict interview question and answer, the employer wants to see your ability to pitch your skills and convincing power. Moreover, this interview question is an opportunity to show the interviewer your willingness for the job. The best way to answer this fresher interview question is to talk about your skills and strengths that match the job role. You can even share some more examples of how you managed a few projects or important assignments in your college that reflect your strengths. You should follow this. First is share strengths and skills that are relevant for the job description, but keep it short. Second is wait and elaborate if the interviewer wants to know more about particular instances to validate your points.
What are your salary expectations?
As a fresh graduate, talking about your first salary is exciting, but a difficult job. The best way to answer this common interview question is to do some research in advance so that you can confidently take a reasonable range. You should follow this. First is never ask for either a too less or too high salary package as this might cost you the job at both the ends. Second is in case you still do not have any idea about a reasonable salary for the job role, you can simply answer to accept the package as per industry standards. This leaves much scope for the negotiation at the time of final offer letter.
Do you have any questions for us?
Most of the job interviews close at this basic interview question where the interviewer leaves scope for you to clear your doubts. Moreover, asking questions show that you are a confident and focused person who wants clarity for his/her job. Many fresh graduates hesitate to ask questions from the interviewer, but it is always recommended to ask some relevant questions. You should follow this. First is prepare a list of questions in advance that can help you get familiarized with the job role. Second is ask intelligent questions that show your curiosity to know more about the company, its policies, people, any specific skill you need to acquire for the given role, etc. And third is avoid asking irrelevant questions such as the duration of lunch hours, how often the company organizes parties, or how soon you will be promoted to the next level.